Fam, what's going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being here for this breaking update on Saturday, December 14th. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's let everybody get checked in, and we will get to the news as it happens. But if you're just joining us, DeVonta Smith, who is a veteran of the secondary. Yes, Alabama has had a few DeVonta Smiths over the last couple of seasons. DeVonta Smith will enter the NCAA transfer portal. Appreciate you guys being here. Please take a minute to hit the thumbs up on this video. I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to share the video as well to your social media platforms. I'd appreciate that. Jordan, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box. We got Jordan Robertson and Jordan Bradley. That's what's up. We got Marcus Davis up in the house. Jeff as well. Halfway Rich. Walker. Remodeling Repair, what's going on? Kalen DeBoss, Isaiah Mendoza. Just give me a few minutes and then we'll get it going here in a second. Did you guys see that short we had last night? Got 20 tacos last night. We were out Christmas party. T, what's up?
Hello, everyone.
All right, we got T up in the house. How you feeling, T?
I'm great. Good.
Yeah. All right. 1 second. All right. Guys about ready to go? Okay. 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. Just letting everybody get checked in, and then the news will get going. But DeVonta Smith has entered the NCAA transfer portal. Just give me 1 second. All right, we good to go, T?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. 3, 2, 1. Breaking news, what's going on, everyone? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you being here for this breaking update on Saturday, December 14th. Now, as you saw on the headline and out in social media, DeVonta Smith, an upperclassman at the University of Alabama, has just entered the NCAA transfer portal. Going to talk about what it means, going to ask you some questions, and thank you for being here. This has been a transfer portal. I wouldn't necessarily call it an exodus, and I'll explain why, because there's other programs, whether you want to look to LSU or you want to look to Georgia, everybody is experiencing the impacts of the transfer portal. And look, the early college football news today, I'm sure you saw it, Marshall Thundering Herd, they have opted out of their bowl game, the Independence Bowl, against Army because they had 25 players hit the transfer portal, right? Following Charles Huff probably to Southern Miss. College football clearly off the rails. The transfer portal is something that we have to get accustomed to. I did not anticipate DeVonta Smith hitting the transfer portal. I thought that he would be one of the players to contribute in the secondary for 2025. So let's kind of look at the transfer portal players that have left right now from the University of Alabama, and there's quite a bit, right? But like I said, there's programs out there that have more. And when you look to this on a scale of 1 to 10, with next season, with DeVonta Smith, how impactful is losing DeVonta Smith to the secondary on a scale of 1 to 10? Like 10 would be significant. 5 would be like so-so. 1 would be not so much. Yesterday, as you know, Justice Haynes, running back, hit the transfer portal. And I asked the question why. People were like, people had different opinions about why each of these players hit the transfer portal. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how impactful do you think losing DeVonta Smith is in the secondary? I'm kind of mid-range, and I'm going to tell you why. Now I'm going to show you a graphic of the roster management. When I talk roster management, I'm going to show you a graphic of the secondary and explain why DeVonta Smith, who played Husky in this 4-2-5 defense, where I think it could be a little impactful, because behind him, you don't have much experience, okay? Mario Gates, I see you inside the comment box with a solid 8. I'm probably like at a 7 right now, okay? DeVonta Smith, he's been here for a while. The one thing that comes to mind when you think about DeVonta Smith was, number one, he was starter at the Husky position in the secondary this season, right? And the other thing is the guy got jumped by Auburn, the Auburn Tigers. And I see you guys talking about the Auburn Tigers inside the comment box. They landed Jackson Arnold, right? Quarterback from Oklahoma going to Auburn. We'll talk about that on the back end. But let's talk about DeVonta Smith first. I'm going to show you some roster management. And what I mean by roster management is I'm going to go to the actual snap counts, T, And if we could just put a transfer portal stamp on DeVonta Smith, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. I don't know. I think when you look to Alabama's secondary next year, I was feeling a little bit excited. I know Alabama is, losing Malachi Moore. But when you look to the guys I'm about to show you that are coming back, we're going to put a transfer stamp and a graduation stamp on Malachi Moore. You see the secondary, right, this season and next season. You have Keon Sabb returning. You have King Mack, Bray Hubbard. I would imagine that Keon Sabb and Bray Hubbard are your safeties. And that's why I was feeling a little bit confident about Alabama's secondary when I looked to next season, because you have DeVonta Smith, who would have been a redshirt senior at that Husky position. Now, good question, Ricky Smith. I'm going to get to that. So at the Husky position, so think about your Husky position as kind of an extra DB on the field, a corner who can play that nickel position as well. And behind him is Red Morgan. Now, Red Morgan is in the developmental process. Is he perfect right now where he's at? No, he just got here. We'll update the stats at the bottom. We could do that right now, T, on Pro Football Focus with Red Morgan. See where he's targeted 17 times and he allowed 9 receptions. So maybe Red Morgan has a developmental year. He played a lot this year. Was he cooked? Yeah, he was cooked a couple times. Was he beat over the top? If the quarterbacks could connect on a more consistent basis, then Red Morgan would have given up some. Same thing with Xavier Brown. But you have to ask the question, does Alabama need now to go into the transfer portal again for somebody at that Husky spot? I don't know. Ivan Taylor coming in, he's a safety. You have Red Morgan. You have Drake Kirkpatrick. I don't think Kirkpatrick is going to play that Husky position. Cam Howard, didn't see too much of him. And if you're just joining us, I'll show you a graphic of all the players that have hit the transfer portal. But the news today is that DeVonta Smith, who would have been a redshirt senior in 2025, is hitting the transfer portal. And look, if this is freaking you out, the transfer portal is hitting everybody. I think LSU has 15 guys in. What does Alabama have, 13? And Lil Ye brings up an interesting question. He's like, is Alabama broke? Well, as you saw today, and I'm going to show you this in just a second as well, there's a couple guys that decided to go elsewhere other than Alabama. You have Patrick Cuttis, right? I'm going to show you the targets in just a second. And we can, T, on this transfer portal target list that I'm about to show, if you could put a line through Luke Haas as well. So 2 transfer portal targets that Alabama was looking at getting. I'm going to get to Little Ye, and then I'm going to go back to DeVonta Smith. Luke Haas has also announced that he's committed to Ole Miss. So 2 Alabama targets within the last 2 days have committed to Ole Miss. I have no idea how the money situation works with Alabama and where they dedicate resources, money to, right? But I figure because Alabama has a lot of veteran players potentially coming back for 2025, those players are probably getting, a lion's share of that revenue. You got to think that you also have to restructure contracts with players who performed at a really high level. For example, you think that Ryan Williams is just going to play for the same amount of money that he played for last season? I don't think so, right? Josh Miller saying over under 20 transfers this season. I mean, what are we up to right now? Is it 13, T? I think it's 13 transfers right now. And we'll do a comparative analysis in terms of, the different SEC schools and maybe throw in a Big Ten school as well in terms of the transfers out. If you're just joining the show, let me go over the news. Number 1, DeVonta Smith, who's a Husky player, would have been a redshirt senior next season, has hit the transfer portal. You had 2 players that Alabama was targeting, Luke Haas from Arkansas and Patrick Cuttis from Arkansas. Each of those guys committed to Ole Miss. Luke Haas today. And we still don't know the final detail of KC Concepcion. Same thing with Kelby Collins, who was here. Each of those guys were here this weekend. Gabriel Brownlow is another name that we are tracking, and so is Nate Bowriker out of Nebraska. So that's how things are looking right now. I guess you could look at it, in a couple different ways. When you look to, which players, does Alabama need to get? How big of losses are these guys? I think this is probably like a 6.5 in terms of DeVonta Smith leaving, honestly, because who's going to be the Husky position player next year? Quincy's, saying that there could be more players to transfer as well. Let me ask you this another way on a scale of 1 to 10. We got DeVonta Smith just hitting the transfer portal today. On a scale of 1 to 10, like the shock value, like are you shocked that DeVonta Smith hit the transfer portal? To be honest, I would say probably like a 9 to 10. I didn't think that he would be a guy to hit the transfer portal at all. I had him penciled in as a starter for 2025. And I think war never changes. Ask inside the comment box. And let me ask you inside the comment box too. Why do you think that DeVonta Smith is transferring? He started. So some people are not so shocked. I'm a little bit surprised because I thought he would be a starter. KG, the producer, is saying, I'm not shocked. He isn't a good coverage guy and just isn't a hitter. I will agree that he's not a hitter. A lot of people saying money. And this is the other thing when I talk about the transfer portal. And once you come to Alabama and you've been here for a while or you've been in the system, your stock is going to rise and your status is going to rise just because of the player that you are and that you went to Alabama. Period. We've been seeing this same thing with assistant coaches for a long time before the transfer portal because a coach comes here for 1 year. Hey, you coached under Coach Saban. You're good enough to coach over here. Same thing. You can play at Alabama. You can play over here. Plus, we can pay you a little bit more. Right? People commenting on the Army jerseys. Army-Navy today. J-Bake inside the comment box talking about NIL and kind of the budget, right? $22 million, Ohio State, $20 million, LSU, $20 million. You see that Brian Kelly is actually matching donors up to $1 million to help build NIL. You think Coach Kalen DeBoer is going to start? Seriously, you think that's part of it? So you think he's going to start matching donors to get funds for the NIL? This is crazy. And if you missed what I said earlier in the show, while Alabama's up to, 13 guys in the transfer portal, you could have 25 like Marshall, and you could be opting out of the ReliaQuest Bowl against Michigan. Official CJ Jackson is saying it's all about the money. Yeah. Yeah, I think that might just be it, too, with somebody like DeVonta Smith. I think it comes down to getting paid somewhere else, and maybe for Justice Haynes, who entered yesterday, I'm now hearing that Michigan has also entered the equation. Michigan and Ohio State. And John, yes, you are exactly right. Nick Saban saw the college football plane and the direction that was going, and he popped out about 20,000 feet with the parachute and floated right on into the ESPN studios for a comfy $20 million a year. He didn't want to deal with this. You want to deal with this? And the thing about it is because there's no guardrails. That's why I'm interested to see how Bill Belichick, who just took North Carolina, how he's going to deal with this. Dude's 72 years old. Prospects coming in, pay me when you haven't even played yet. Look, I get it. The guys who have played and the guys who have earned status, All-Americans, awards, whatever, pay those guys based off their merits. It's just crazy to me that you're paying guys that haven't even played a down yet. Like Bryce Underwood, damn, look, that guy's amazing 100%, but what's he getting? 12 million over 4 years? He hadn't even played a game. Ricky Smith, I completely agree with you, man. Greg DeBoer hater. Hey, Kyle. Greg, that's all you say on the chat, bro. Literally, that's all Greg says. Greg, you gotta say something else, dude. I tell you, I talked to you, man, but you gotta post something else. So, the last 4 days have included these headlines. Okay. Patrick Cuttis, a target from Arkansas, committed to Ole Miss. On Friday, Justice Haynes, running back here, hit the transfer portal. This morning, you had Luke Haas commit to Ole Miss, also from Arkansas, right? And then today you have DeVonta Smith from Alabama hit the transfer portal. So news happens fast. And you look, I'm going to show you this graphic again. I'm not going to say viewer discretion advised or anything like that. It's just here are the players that have transferred out from Alabama. And look, I keep telling you this. I'm going to build a graphic out that lists the LSU, Alabama, Georgia in terms of the players that are leaving, right? The transfer portal is hitting everybody, everybody all the time. T, can we just push that Jaheim Otis clip just up a little bit? It's in the transfer portal tab. I'd appreciate it. As you see, like Jaheim Otis is just a little bit outside. And when you look to the transfer portal, like our tabs right here, thank you, T. Yeah, you just did lower it a little bit better. Or a little bit lower, rather. Thank you. And when you look to this board right here, I don't see, like, DeVonta Smith, yeah, I think that's impactful because he was going to be a starter. Justice Haynes, impactful because I like the kid. I think he has a good game. But wasn't going to get utilized this next season, let's face it. Like, DeVonta Smith was going to be a starter. Justice Haynes, he was going to get, what? He wasn't going to get 70 carries, 80 carries. No, he wants to be a starter. I can respect that. He wasn't going to start over Jam Miller, and the new offense with the new quarterback, he's not going to get the ball. Dylan Lonergan was not going to be the quarterback at all. Makes sense. I understand it. Caleb Odom, think he left too early. I feel his ceiling is really high. Needs to wait for a quarterback that can operate the offense. Still too young, man. If you're a freshman and you're leaving, there's that stat I keep talking about. 1,200 prospects hit the portal. 31% of those prospects are in the portal for a second time. You got to also have patience and wait your turn. But I think people behind the scenes, agents, started to talk to these guys. Hey, man, you went to Alabama. If you go into the portal, just saying that Alabama tag, it carries a lot of weight. There needs to be more people being like, look, you're a freshman. You didn't play this reason. You didn't play this season for a reason. You were not developed enough to play at Alabama. Be patient. Let's see next season, based on your hard work and your own merit and roster transition, if you can get on the field as a sophomore, okay? Now let's think about it after your sophomore year. Is this the best place for you? What does the coaching staff look like, right? What does the depth chart look like? But I think right now people are like, yo, you didn't play transfer. You didn't play transfer right now. Transfer somewhere else. So Danny Lewis, guy wasn't going to play here, kind of trending the opposite way. Hunter Osborne, don't really know too much detail about him. Jaheim Otis, I would say some of these guys might be, maybe transferred or processed out. Like Jaheim Otis was going to play here. Jalil Hurley, I think he got passed up by the younger DBs. Keanu Cope, I think he's good, but kind of the stuff that happened around him, I mean, guy had to bounce out. Kendrick Law, never really performed to the level that we thought he could, but again, he didn't get the ball, so you can look at it two sides of the coin. Considering all the wide receivers that Alabama's returning, not that big of a loss. Kobe Prentice, love the guy, love the kid, love his game, love his attitude. You get Casey Conception in here. He's probably a better player than Kobe Prentice. I think Kobe Prentice goes somewhere else, and he does a great job. Not too big of a loss. Even though, I think we all respect his game. N'Keal Bentrade, this is the second time that he's in the portal, right? And Miles McVay just got here. He's already hitting the portal. So that's kind of my transfer portal take on the guys listed on the board. Will there be more transfer portal guys? Yeah, 100%. And this is important, what I want to tell you guys. So everybody listen up. The transfer portal for Alabama closes on January 5th because of where its bowl game is situated on the calendar. They play on December 31st. After that game closes out, then the clock starts for the transfer portal to close. And that's on the back end of that 5-day window. So January 5th. And in case you missed it, I said earlier that Justice Haynes looking at Ohio State, also looking at Michigan. A couple other things that I was planning to hit on. Yeah, and I did see that T-Town Trisha. Yeah. She mentions Miles McVay looking at Illinois, and I think was he looking at there was another place, Trisha. Was it Colorado? It wasn't Colorado. Yeah, I think Caleb Odom looking at Colorado, and there was somebody else. Hank P, what's up, man? Appreciate it. A couple other pieces of news that I wanted to run over this morning when I was kind of going through a pre-checklist of, whenever we went live again. I have college football news as Jackson Arnold going to Auburn. I think that this is probably something that Alabama fans don't want to hear. You know that name, synonymous with Oklahoma, as he was the quarterback this past season that beat Alabama. He ran for a total of 131 yards against the Crimson Tide, right? He is going to Auburn. What's also scary about that is the fact that that game this year is at the Haunted Barn. Hank Brown, who was competing for the job at Auburn with Peyton Thorne, he transferred to Iowa. So Jackson Arnold, as this morning, former Oklahoma quarterback, will be the quarterback for Hugh Freeze. Now, I think when you look at Alabama's football schedule, we mentioned this a lot, I think that who knows what will happen and who knows who will be healthy by that point in time of the game, right? Alabama went against so many quarterbacks that were banged up just because the SEC is like the NFL. You got to stay healthy for that entire time. You also have Patrick Cuttis and Luke Haas, each members of Arkansas this past season. Cuttis, an offensive lineman, Luke Haas, a tight end, both targets in the transfer portal for Alabama. Each chose Ole Miss. Did Ole Miss pay more for these players? Did they feel that Ole Miss was a better fit for them? I have no idea, but they are each going to Ole Miss. Other item of note in college football, the world today, Marshall has opted out of its bowl game after losing 25 players to the transfer portal. 25. Alabama has lost 13, but you lose 25, you lose your coach. They even named it interim coach, but they're not even playing in the bowl game against Army. So I think the NCAA is going to have to look at the transfer portal windows as well. I think they should still look at the signing day windows as well. Why are they making these kids sign on December, what was it? No, it was December 4th. It was December 4th. And then you have the transfer portal window. Then you have the college football playoffs. And what the playoffs is doing, the way that the impact that the playoffs is having now that you have more teams is if you don't fit in that 12-team format, the bowl games are completely meaningless. Therefore, you don't even have to play in the bowl games, right? So if you're just joining us today, if you're just cruising in, can we get one more viewer on? We have 666 viewers on. Let's get let's get a couple more viewers on. Share the video. T-Town Trisha also saying that Emmanuel Henderson page looks like he's moving some things around. Let's look at some quick roster management real quick because I know there's a lot of stuff going on. And we'll keep you posted on news that happens. So please hit the subscription button and turn on all notifications. That's a great time to be informed when news drops. And when you see news that happens, we will keep you posted. Adam wants us to get Hungry Howie's. Oh, man, I don't know if we could survive that after the 30 tacos. If you saw us, we got the 30 tacos last night. We were going to a Christmas party. So I didn't say that we went to a Christmas party and they said to bring a side dish as for my workout group. So I brought 30 tacos from Taco Bell. People liked it. Someone else brought McRibs. Other people made, really good food. I brought Taco Bell. Okay. That's how I did it. All right, let me show you some roster management. When I talk roster management, it's graphics with the positions and kind of show you. There's one thing to look at kind of the board right here as transfers, but it's another way to look at it by roster management. Greg DeBoer-Hader, we'll read that in just a second. T, could you read that out?
Yeah, let me get to it.
All right. It's inside the comment boxes. Yeah.
I keep hearing transfers don't do well. Ask Ja'Cory Brooks, Eli Holstein, and Seth McLaughlin. These guys are absolutely killing it after leaving Bama. That's a fair point. I mean, Seth just won Center of the Year. So.
Yeah, the Remington Award. Greg DeBoer-Hader, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, I think there's a couple players that you could look at inside the transfer portal that did do well. Like I would consider Isaiah Bond. He did well. You look at Eli Holstein. He did well at Pittsburgh. You look at Ja'Cory Brooks, had a really good season at Louisville. There's a couple other players that went other spots, and they just, things just kind of fizzled out for them. Like what happened to JoJo Earl? What happened to Trey Sanders? A couple other guys, that would be an interesting thing is kind of how did the transfers that left within the last couple years, how did they do? I think that I just saw Damian George, too, hit the transfer portal. I think that was yesterday we were talking about that, T. Let's go over some roster management real quick and just kind of, for the heck of it, look at the players that are coming back, leaving, whatever. So here's the quarterback room. Look, I didn't put Jalen Milroe in this particular graphic because I would assume that he's going to the NFL. But if he does, we'll add Jalen Milroe back here. But this is what the quarterback room will look like in 2025. We got another super chat. NT, could you read that from Jimmy Clay?
Yeah, Jimmy's just saying if they want to leave, let them go. Roll Tide.
I mean, look, I don't know the amount of people that left in the transfer portal last year, but there was a lot. And I'm sure there's going to be more people that continue to leave. Here's a look at the quarterback room. You got Ty Simpson, Dylan Leonard getting transferred out, Austin Mack, and Keelan Russell. So you have three quarterbacks coming back into 2025, and I think it's going to be a hell of a battle for the starting spot. I think Ty Simpson, clearly the guy. By the way, his brother, during his freshman season, had a phenomenal year. I think his brother as a freshman in high school threw for like 4,000 yards. Also, props up to the graduates yesterday. Let me read this off. T, I'll probably send you a graphic if you can get this updated. But Alabama had 14 graduates yesterday, Ty Simpson included. There was a couple guys to get their master's degree as well. Neelan Hibbett got his master's. Ja Latham got his master's. Jalen Milroe got his master's. And Malachi Moore got his master's. So there was 14 football players that got degrees. So congratulations to those guys for getting their degrees as well. And their master's degrees. T has her master's degree. So congratulations to all our master's students, T.
Yeah. It's a.
You could have been walking with
Milroe.
Yeah, you could have been walking with Milroe and Malachi Moore. All right, okay. That's the quarterback room. Let's look at the running back room now with Justice Haynes that has hit the transfer portal. Your running back room very, very healthy. Jam Miller coming back for next season. You have Richard Young. I think the thing about it, I think while I really feel that the running back room will miss Justice Haynes, it's not a catastrophe because you have Jam Miller and Richard Young coming back. Now, if you would have lost, like, let's say Jam and Justice, well, then Richard Young becomes a featured guy, but you need a couple of guys to carry the load, right? So I feel really good still about the running back room, despite losing a high-quality running back like Justice Haynes. And I think I've seen in the feed inside the comment box, people were talking about Justice Haynes kind of running more east to west, and I'd like to see him more north to south. I like his game. I'd like to see him get, what could he do with like 120 carries? Be kind of the main feature back. I don't know. But I do like his game. And he's a hell of a dude. Like, the guy is outstanding individual. And then Richard Young and Jam Miller will be a very powerful combo. I mean, it's crazy to think, but Jam Miller is still kind of underrated, right? Which is weird. Then you're bringing in A.K. Deere, the number one running back in the state of Mississippi. All right, you have the tight end room. That's why Alabama needs a tight end, and that's why losing out on Luke Haas to Ole Miss, I don't think it's anything to be like freaking out over, but you do need a tight end. So you lose C.J. Dupree, you lose Robbie Oots. I'm gonna miss Robbie Oots. I'm gonna just say it. I like that guy's game. he's solid. You lose Danny Lewis, Josh Cuevas, Jay Lindsey, Ty Lockwood, and here's what the tight end will look back in 2025: Caleb Edwards and Marshall Pritchett. So I think you need a complementary piece to Josh Cuevas. Maybe somebody that can block a little bit, right? But Luke Haas now off the board as he has committed to Ole Miss. T, we have another super chat up in the house.
Yeah, Clay was just saying Richard Young is going to be a beast next year.
Yeah, I think he was a beast this year too. There was a couple runs that he had in late game opportunities this year that you got to see the explosiveness that he had. Didn't have a lot of opportunities this year just because of the play calling and the schematics of Alabama's offense this year. And really, let's face it, the main running back on the team was Jalen Milroe, right? He had the most carries on the team. He had the most throwing touchdowns on the team. It was like that was the offense. So under a new type of offense, you got to think that the ball is distributed more between the running backs as well as the wide receivers as well. But you do need a transfer tight end. The Alabama receiver room, you have 3 transfers that are out. Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law, Caleb Odom. Here's what it looks like kind of in total. We don't know if Jeremy Bernard is coming back or not just yet. Emmanuel Henderson, a guy we've been waiting for, was dealt with the injury in 2023 and then comes back and doesn't see a lot of receptions this year. Maybe next year will be his year. I don't know. Here's a look at all of the wide receivers coming in, right? And that's why I don't think it's a make or break if you don't get KC in. I would love KC to come in. I promise you. I love his game. I would be absolutely fired up to have him come in. But if you don't get him, your room is strong enough right here to where you're going to be able to sustain. A lot of guys, you could pick, 4 guys, 5 guys from here that you're really excited to see, right? A lot of people talking about Jalen Hell, and rightfully so. This was a guy who suffered a very significant injury in the springtime. Coach Kalen DeBoer had a positive update, said that he's on track to be able to play again in 2025. So, gotta be tough for the kid, to suffer an injury like that, based on his skill set. He's a good one. Jalen Hell's good. And you know what? People don't really talk about Jaron Hamilton. But don't lose sight on him. Alabama offensive line, this team needs a right tackle really bad. Really bad. On the other side of the coin, we've seen players do a dramatic change. Look at Seth McLaughlin. He just won the Remington Award. So, I don't know. That would be like the equivalent to Welcome Formby winning the Offensive Lineman of the Year award. So, I guess that could happen. So, you do have the linemen here, but based on their performance, it's scary because is that going to be the same case next year? I don't know. Lawrence with a PHW is coming in. He's saying, we're going to be fine. DeBoer had a rough, let's see, read that one more time. Had a rough inaugural year, but we back in the kitchen cooking. I appreciate it, Lawrence. What's up, man? Congratulations on the PhD. T, we got a couple super chats coming in. Let's go Toast and then Greg DeBoer hater.
Yeah, Toast says, I saw something that said that Smith's girl is possibly pregnant back home in Ohio, and it might be why he's leaving. I'm not sure about that. I have no idea. But appreciate the insight.
Okay, and then we got Greg.
Greg DeBoer hater, is saying, let me add Treshawn Holden and Aaron Anderson, who are doing just fine. Hate on these kids all you want, but like Saban said, you got to make business decisions. Saban ain't wrong.
Yeah, I appreciate you reading those out. And thanks, Greg DeBoer hater and Toast. Yeah, I have no idea. DeVonta Smith is from Ohio. I don't know, any of those rumors that are out there, why he left or whatever. But, best wishes to the kid. And as Greg DeBoer points out, 2 more players that were transfers who had successful seasons. You can't fault the guys if they are getting paid more at other universities. Ask yourself this. If there was another company that you could go work for and they were going to pay you, 25% more, I mean, would you be like, nah, man, I'm loyal over here and I'm just gonna take less? I don't know. I mean, these guys are young. They're dealing with a lot of money. Things are moving really fast. Some players don't play. And I think when they don't play, it also hurts their NIL value. It hurts the NFL draft stock. There's a million ways to look at it, right? Here's a look at the offensive line next season. All eyes clearly on Michael Carroll, right, coming in at that guard position. Could he be a guard that starts, considering that you have Tyler Booker leaving to the NFL? One of the schools that I'm surprised that continues to have money, and I guess that's kind of the same thing with kind of the old money, is Ole Miss, because they really worked the transfer portal well last year, right? Same thing with Ohio State, but that's going to continue to be the case, right? Hey, Bama Productions, man, we're not taking calls at this time, man. So I see you inside the comment box, but the short answer is not today. And you got to think Jaden Roberts comes in too, right? He comes back. He didn't have the season that he was going to have. Here's a look at the Alabama defensive line. You have Jaheim Otis, who transferred out. He was really the first guy who transferred like way back, and I don't even remember what it was, like September or October. And then Hunter Osborne as well. Alabama is targeting Gabriel Brownlow, Texas A&M transfer. Alabama's defensive line in 2025, Tim Keenan, James Smith, Damon Payne, Edric Hill, Vega Beeman, Simmons, and Ambua, new guys to join in 2025. And this is interesting. T, can we make sure that we have this updated for this this bandit position? So Ja Latham, based on eligibility, he could come back this next year. So he'd be like, I think he has one more year to burn because of the COVID stuff. And I'm telling you, I think LT's out. So when you look to Bandit next year, I think we should still have Ja Latham here. And then a question mark with LT Overton. You see what I'm saying? Which I think makes you feel a little bit better about the Bandit position. And I think from what I understand, I saw Cavante Henry is going to be utilized as a Bandit, right? Alex, I appreciate the super chat, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the channel. Here's the Wolf position this past season. You have Q-Rob, who was out with the injury. Keanu Coate hit the transfer portal. Quay Rusa, amazing player. Yanzi Pierre is going to be an amazing player. Noah Carter in development as a freshman, right?
I have him as a redshirt senior this year.
Yeah, but
so I guess that means he could.
No, but because he has like this COVID year deal, I think. Okay. He's going to be granted an extra year eligibility. I don't know. I mean, the way that they do things is sometimes confusing. Here's a look at Alabama's inside linebacker position. I think when we look to next year, we need to build this graphic out too, T, the inside linebackers. I would assume that Deontay Lawson has a decision to make, whether he's going to come back or not. He was injured. He was overshadowed by Jahad Campbell. Alabama maybe could pay him some money to come back for this next season because they certainly need him. If he leaves as well, you have three guys that are leaving from this room, and then you have some young guys standing out, right? So Adam's like, you're refusing to take calls. Sometimes I have the call-in show, sometimes I don't. And that's just how it's going to be. But I love you guys. Q Hurry, and then was the super chat, 99. And here's the corners. Still wondering about Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown, Jalen Mbakwe, Deshaun Jones, Zay Mincy. And here's a look at what it could be next year if Damani Jackson does come back. I'd actually really like that corner room Because look, Dejon Lee, Chuck McDonald, I'm sure you saw that Mo Lindquist just tweeted out that he was expected, really excited to have Dejon Lee and Chuck McDonald come in. Those guys are ballers. Yeah, GSP Scott, man, what's up? I appreciate you being here. And we are just talking about this news right here as you get to the safeties and the Husky position. Is you have DeVonta Smith is transferring in what I feel was a little bit of a shocker. I have no idea where he's going to go. I don't know, what the landing spot is going to be. So that's kind of the update right now. And overall, Alabama now up to 13 in the transfer portal. 13 players in the transfer portal. I think yesterday was probably, I wouldn't say gut-wrenching, but, losing Justice Haynes, I think, hurt. But they'll be fine because, as I explained in my roster management, you're still good at the running back position. Jordan Bailey, or Bradley, rather. I'm sorry about that, Jordan. Yeah, Dejon Lee is a 6'4" corner out of California. I have a graphic I'll run through real quick on some of these guys that Alabama's bringing in. That might be good to see. I'm going to do two things. I'm going to show you the transfer portal targets, and then I'm gonna recap the class as well. Okay, so these are the portal targets that Alabama is chasing down, and a couple of these guys have decided to go elsewhere, which is part of the game. But Alabama, we'll keep you posted on guys that continue to be targets or take them off the board or whatever as we see fit. I'm going to pull up this graphic real quick of the transfer portal targets, and still waiting on an update on KC Concepcion out of NC State. So we have two guys off the board right now. Lucas, you could take him off your board, and Patrick Cuttis. I don't think those are like make or break guys that you're like really disappointed that they're going elsewhere. Lucas was a guy who's injured 2 years in a row. Cuttis was injured this last year. Sometimes you take these guys with injuries. They could be nagging injuries going forward. That wasn't the case with like Landon Dickerson, though. Remember, Landon Dickerson could not get healthy at Florida State, and he came over here and did an amazing job, right? All right, let me run through this graphic real quick. I haven't showed this in a while. I think it's worth showing because I think sometimes we lose sight on who Alabama is actually bringing in. And you got to get excited about the class, right? You look to the class of that's coming in. There's some ballers coming in this class, absolutely. This might make you feel a little bit better, right? You guys see all these guys losing. Well, these are the guys coming in under Coach Kalen DeBoer. This is the number 2 ranked recruiting class. So you got Keelan Russell, who's a 5-star, who, by the way, he plays tonight. Homework assignment for all y'all, okay? Keelan Russell, can we look this up, T? And for everybody inside the comment box, you investigative reporters, okay? I'm going to send you on a little hunt. Keelan Russell plays tonight for Duncanville, I think in the quarterfinals or the semifinals. How can you watch that game? Can we look that up real quick? Keelan Russell, he is the guy that Coach Kalen DeBoer wants to build his team around. I promise you. Number 1 player in Texas, number 1 player in the country. Oh, he's playing right now, Jarvis? How's he doing, man? Give us the skinny if you've seen that. Daryl Stevens, what's up? Daryl, no, Steffens. Do I sound sad? No, man, I'm not sad. We had a good time last night, T and I. We went to Catch 22 after this Christmas party. Got home at like 11:30. Animals, right? Michael Carroll coming in, as I've explained, 6'6", 350 pounds, out of the IMG Academy, originally from Pennsylvania. Jarvis is saying that Duncanville just kicked off. Jarvis, will you tell everybody how to watch that so when we end this, we can watch Keelan Russell? We have a couple more things to go through. The main topic of this video is DeVonta Smith hitting the transfer portal. Oh, there's a live stream. Okay, so maybe you could just, point people there after the show. Michael Carroll coming in. The guy is physically dominating. There's a clip of him just absolutely beating up this poor kid in high school on the football field. Looks like a nice guy. I don't know if he'll be able to start this coming season, but critical piece. I think he's just as equally as important to Keelan Russell. As Jordan was talking about, you have a 5-star corner coming in on the defensive side, 6'3", 187 pounds. This is Dejon Lee, number 4 corner in the nation. You also have Jackson Lloyd, another offensive lineman, offensive tackle, number 33 player in the nation. Alabama signed 6 players, well 7 if you want to count a preferred walk-on punter from California. Oh, so Jarvis is saying that he's watching it on so that's the proper way to do it. If you want to watch Keelan Russell, go to NFH app and then just type in Duncanville. It's like $6 to watch. So, yeah. AK Deer coming in, right? 4-star running back. Everybody really excited about him. Mike Peasy's like, we in trouble. I think everybody's in trouble. So I was saying this last night. I was talking with people, and I don't, like, if you see me out, and T, how many people do we see that we talk to?
Last night?
No, just like in general. Like, we go to the gas station, and people be like, yo, Kyle, what's up? I watch your show. Like, if you see me out in public, like, we can talk. And don't feel like, I talk football all the time, so I tell my friends, they're probably like, you're probably tired of talking football. I'm not. But we were talking about last night. I think this last year with all these teams, that is going to be the new baseline of all of the teams. So everything beyond that, now you're still going to have your brands, but all of this is going to be the new wave of college football. So like Vandy, don't educate your friends. Vandy is a completely different Vandy. It's not the Vandy that was the doormat of college football. Because of NIL and parity, they are now, a 7-win team, right? An 8-win team. They can beat somebody. They can beat Alabama. It's not, and it's going to be the same case with the teams that can reload in the transfer portal, right? AK Deer, Justin Hill, big-time player. Look for him at the wolf position. Ivan Taylor, really hard hitter, strong work ethic. The guy's pops played in the league. Ike Taylor, Chuck McDonald coming in at the corner position. Daryl Duke Johnson at the inside linebacker position. This guy can play. He played quarterback and running back in high school. Caleb Edwards, a tight end, a 4-star, also out of California. Cavante Henry, number 4 junior college player. I'm so excited about this guy, honestly. Latier Brooks, as you probably read, Courtney Morgan in a recent article in 24/7 said that this guy is absolutely dangerous with the ball in his hands. Micah DeBose out of Alabama. Alabama signed 2 players from the state of Alabama this year, DeBose and Michael Waldrop. You also have Marshall Pritchett. Love this guy. 6 foot. I think he's 6'6", to be honest. Tight end and wide receiver. Luke Metz. This guy is all Alabama. Steve Ambua. Coming in, Abdul Sanders, London Simmons, Mal Waldrop, Alex Osperoff. So a lot of these guys coming in for the signing class. But at the beginning of the video, the main topic is DeVonta Smith hitting the transfer portal. So news as it happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Please hit the notification button so you are always notified when breaking news happens. Herman, what's up? I see you inside the comment box. Thank you very much for being here. I sincerely appreciate you guys being here for this breaking update. Again, DeVonta Smith has entered the transfer portal. Alabama now up to 13 players that have hit the portal. Stay close to Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Have an amazing rest of your Saturday. And as news happens, got you covered right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday and stay tuned. As news happens, we got you covered right here on Bama.